Today our topic, by the way, is winter warnings, a real view of a weather world. And it will be. You know what? Not probably. Have you guys ever heard of Youngst in Siberia? Have you guys ever heard of that? It's a place where it gets minus 87 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very cold, very cold. It's a place that if you don't cover your car and a muffler extension and your car does not have auto start to heat it up all throughout the day and night, your car is the oil will freeze, right? That's how cold it gets. That's how cold it gets. Yeah, cooks, yes. That's how cold it gets. And some areas in the U.S. are about to be similar. They're very similar to that, only for a little while. Remember, we have a floating equator. It can't be stopped. It's still going to move. And it's drifting northward, right up through the U.S. So we're going to take on some very different weather. But I'm saying this because the permafrost is melting fast. It's really melting fast. There are a lot of areas in Siberia that are now swamplands. Literal swampland. And people live there. I believe it's a population of about 420,000 people live there, I think. Out of the 420,000, you have about 600 homeless who, the homeless there, they don't live long. Everybody knows that if you're out at night, if you sleep outside at night, you're not going to make it, right? You cannot afford to go to sleep outside that place. It's that cold on a continuous basis. It's, I tell you, to go there will make you appreciate everything you have. It will. It will make you appreciate everything you have. The buildings are old, 70, 60, or 60, 70 style Russian buildings. Some of the more modern buildings are up there. But how the people live, how they conduct their day-to-day business, their life it's rough, right? It's rough. If the U.S. and Europe, if they happen to go through, for the U.S. it would be a devastating winter. For Europe, it will be warmth. If that happens, it's going to turn both places into an unrecognizable place. There are parts of the U.S. that are not meant for warm weather. There are parts of Europe that are not meant for warm weather. They're going to get both cold and warm. And I wouldn't be surprised, everybody, if temperatures in your specific area in the U.S. dropped 20 degrees lower than what they've ever been before. I wouldn't be surprised. So in the dead of winter, instead of the temp hovering around 12 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll be around, minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Nobody should be surprised at that. The weather is doing some very shifty things, scary things. And we're going to see that this winter. We'll see it. I think that all of you should be ready for that. All of you should be. We have that coming. As far as other things in the world, we're going to continue to see them escalate. But at least we have the Word of God. Right? The stars falling to earth in Revelation. This is my final belief. I believe it's twofold, but I believe this. I already know there's a meteor shower we're going to go through, or a physical shower that's going to burn up the majority of this earth. It's going to turn the seas into a rotten material. It's going to burn up many land masses. There's no way we can escape it. We're not going to escape it. I believe when certain things rip through the heavens, we're going to see the heavens depart as a scroll when it's rolled together too. There's some pretty big objects there. I believe that when we do pass through this, the Kuiper belts are going to be disturbed, and we're going to have more debris headed towards Earth. The most dangerous thing the Earth could ever face is what we put around the Earth. We put trash around the Earth. We put satellites around the Earth. And in some cases, if just one of those satellites, some of the smaller ones, if the fuel pod in that satellite, which is about 4 inches by 4 inches, were to drop in the atmosphere, it would kill at least 3/4 of the Earth. It would poison the atmosphere, and most people would be dead within about 6 months. You're looking at things with a substance that is incredibly corrosive. And it would get into your lungs and activate with oxygen, and with your lungs with water, right? Which would make it worse, which means people would slowly drown on the Earth every day. That could be a bad thing. That's going to be a bad thing. I already know that's coming. I know that through optics. But I've known that since 2002. There's no way around it. The solar system is not going to change course. It just won't. Anyway, that's a certainty. That's something that will happen. As we all know, winter is late. Do you guys know that? Long time ago, back in the 80s. Yeah, 80s. Winter was different. Around this time of year, in many places, there'd be snow all over the place. Not so these days. Everything is taking a turn. What does that mean for this winter? Well, you've noticed floods everywhere. The last couple of days, you've noticed floods everywhere. Vicious storms. One of the reasons the storms have so much impact and power is because the atmosphere is hotter. And of course, with heat, you give a higher potential of clouds to carry. And winter's late. But don't worry, it's going to come in with a shock. It'll come in fast and furious. There are no guarantees on how long this winter will last, but I suspect it's going to be a short one. Very short one. But it will be intense. It's going to be muddy. Very muddy. And it will cause some issues with, of course, crops and animals and things like that, due to the sheer temperature swings we're going to see. Because you may have a snowstorm one day, and the next day it could be 72, 73 degrees, followed by a vicious snowstorm. And then, of course, followed by high temperatures again. This is what we're getting into. In fact, this is exactly how deserts were formed. Same weather transitions. Now I'm going to give you a shock. As we continue to go through the weather phenomena, something is happening to the jet stream, and it's going to reverse one day. One day soon, it will reverse. And when it reverses, All that weather on the west coast is going to be seen on the east coast. And all the weather on the east coast is going to be seen on the west coast. And so that means we're going to have desert regions on the east coast. Desert regions. So imagine Alabama, Georgia, all those places, all of a sudden turn into a desert. Lifeless. Kind of like Arizona, right? But after that point, it'll be cold again. A little cooler. Now keep in mind the atmosphere is going to continue to expand. It's going to continue to become more and more dense. As this takes place, greater heat and cold can be transferred through materials, right? I'll give you an idea. Something up there in the thermal sphere is about 5,000 to 6,000 degrees. But you could go up there right now and nothing would happen to you, right? Nothing. In another, well, I'll put it this way. 2 years ago, you could go up in the thermal sphere and nothing would have happened to you. Why? Do you know why? There's not enough matter to transfer heat. So it was devoid particulates a couple of years ago. More and more dust, space dust, more and more debris is collecting in the thermal sphere. And it's starting to show its heat, right? Because the more matter you have, the more heat transfer you can have between particulate to particulate. In the absence of those particles, though, it can be very hot. You're not going to feel it. You won't feel it. So now if that makes sense to you guys, because right now in the thermosphere, it is different than what it was a couple of years ago. If you can remember that, you'll understand how inefficient aircraft truly are. But we'll leave that for another time. Another time. When you're dealing with a thickened thermosphere, it's unpredictable. It causes satellites to have to be flown at lower orbits. Communication satellites, certain communication satellites no longer work in space. Verizon, AT&T, all these guys, they have had to change the orbit of their satellites because of the heat, the resistance, right? Burning up satellites up there, way up there. What's that going to do to us? The atmosphere is heating up. As it continues to heat, right, the atmosphere is going to hold more and more moisture. It's one of the same reasons you have condensation on your air-conditioned pipes. You know, your ducting may be sweating. If that is the case, the atmosphere can only hold so much heat and moisture before it lets it all go once it's cooled off. That means, you know, the atmosphere can have high humidity, but no rain. It'll be very hot. You're good to go. If that cools off, the atmosphere can only hold so much water based upon the temperature of the atmosphere before it drops everything. We're going to see that this winter. We're going to see it this winter. All those floods are going to translate into a lot of either frozen rain, right, or snow. Get ready for that. That means ice. That means guaranteed power outages. Not by somebody flicking a switch either, but by downed power lines. We're going to see that. We'll see that big time.